A third party is losing control. Your person is about to make a shocking choice. My beloved child, something has shifted behind the scenes, and the third party can feel it more strongly than anyone. They thought they understood your person. They thought they knew exactly what to say, how to keep their attention, and how to make them forget the connection they once felt with you. But now, that confidence is disappearing. Your person has started questioning things they once accepted without hesitation. Conversations feel different. Old explanations no longer make sense. And there is one thought your person keeps returning to when everything becomes quiet: you. Don't skip, because the choice forming inside their heart is much bigger than anyone around them realizes. The third party is losing control because they can sense that your person is no longer making decisions just to keep everyone else comfortable. Something has awakened inside them, and once that happened, everything began changing. They remembered moments with you that they had tried to push aside. They remembered how naturally you understood them. They remembered the strange peace they felt around you. And suddenly, the life they accepted began feeling incomplete. But here is where this becomes surprising: your person has not revealed their full realization yet. They have been watching, thinking, comparing, and quietly reaching a conclusion that could completely change the direction of this connection. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What the third party does not understand is that this change did not happen overnight. Your person has been carrying questions inside themselves for longer than anyone knows. Every time they tried to move forward without acknowledging you, something brought the memory of this connection back. A familiar phrase. A place. A song. A quiet moment before sleep. Even ordinary situations began reminding them of what felt different about you. And now those memories are becoming impossible to dismiss. Don't skip, because this is where the hidden truth begins appearing. Your person is starting to recognize that the biggest choice of their life may not be between two people, it may be between continuing a life built around other people's expectations and finally choosing what feels genuine to them. That realization has changed their behavior. They are becoming quieter around the third party. They are no longer explaining every emotion. They are protecting certain thoughts. And the third party has noticed. They can feel your person emotionally stepping away from the old pattern, and they cannot understand how to stop it. What makes this even more powerful is that your person recently remembered one specific moment involving you, a moment they once considered small. But looking back now, they realize it revealed something enormous. In that moment, you saw a side of them that almost nobody else noticed. You understood something without needing a long explanation. And your person is beginning to wonder whether that kind of connection happens only once in a lifetime, but the biggest revelation is still coming, because your person is approaching a decision they once believed they would never have the courage to make. Something huge is waiting for you. They are beginning to understand that choosing what is familiar is not always the same as choosing what is right for their heart. The third party can feel this realization growing, which is exactly why their confidence is slipping. They expected your person to remain predictable, but your person is becoming anything but predictable now. They are thinking about what would happen if they stopped pretending that your connection meant less than it actually did. They are imagining the conversation they avoided. They are wondering what you would say if they finally told you the complete truth. And most surprisingly, they are questioning whether there is still time to make a different choice. Stay till the end, because this is only the beginning of what they have realized. There is another piece of this story that your person has kept completely private, and when it finally comes forward, it will explain why the third party suddenly feels their influence fading. Your person has already made one quiet decision that nobody around them knows about yet, and that decision leads directly back to you. Something happened in your person's mind that the third party never expected. They stopped asking, "What will everyone think?" and started asking, "What do I actually want?" That single question changed everything. Don't skip, because the answer frightened even your person with how quickly it appeared. They thought they had buried their feelings deeply enough. They believed time, distance, distractions, and outside opinions would eventually make this connection feel ordinary. But instead, the opposite happened. The more they tried to ignore you, the clearer certain memories became. Your person started comparing how they feel when they think about you with how they feel in their current situation, and that comparison revealed something they could no longer explain away. Around the third party, they had learned to measure every word and hide certain emotions. But when they remembered you, they remembered being understood without constantly having to prove themselves. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The third party has already noticed this emotional shift. They have noticed the longer silences, the distant expressions, and those moments when your person seems physically present but mentally somewhere else. And what they cannot see is where your person's thoughts keep traveling. Back to one conversation. Back to one memory. Back to one person, you. Here is where everything becomes even more surprising. Your person recently replayed an old situation involving you and finally understood it differently. At the time, they believed your silence meant you had stopped caring. They believed your distance meant the connection had disappeared. But now they are wondering whether you stepped away because you refused to compete for a place that should have been freely given. That realization hit them differently because it forced them to confront something they had avoided. Maybe you were never the person who abandoned the connection. Maybe they were the one who allowed confusion, hesitation, and outside influence to become louder than what they truly felt. Don't skip. This realization is changing the choice they are preparing to make. For the first time, your person is looking backward not because they want to live in the past, but because they finally understand what the past was trying to teach them. The third party believed keeping you at a distance would eventually erase your importance. Instead, distance gave your person something nobody expected: clarity. And that clarity is becoming impossible to reverse. Your person has started imagining what would happen if they spoke to you again without hiding behind pride or uncertainty. They have imagined your reaction. They have imagined finally explaining why everything became complicated. And then one thought appeared that changed the entire situation: what if they have already moved on without me? That question created an urgency the third party cannot understand. Something huge is waiting for you, because your person is beginning to realize that waiting forever could become a decision of its own. Every day they remain silent is another day you could build a future that no longer includes them. And suddenly, the possibility of losing their chance feels more powerful than the fear of changing their current situation. Stay till the end, because the shocking choice mentioned at the beginning is getting closer. Your person is no longer simply deciding whom to think about, they are deciding what kind of future they can live with. One future is familiar, predictable, and approved by everyone around them. The other requires courage, truth, and finally admitting that this connection with you affected them far more deeply than they ever confessed. The third party senses that something is slipping away, but they still do not know the most important detail. Your person has already begun preparing themselves for a conversation they once promised themselves they would never have. And before that conversation happens, there is one final truth they need to face, a truth connected to the exact reason they chose distance from you in the first place. When that reason comes into the light, everything you thought you understood about their silence may suddenly look completely different. There is one truth your person has been avoiding because admitting it would force them to rewrite the entire story they told themselves about you. They kept calling the distance necessary. They kept convincing themselves that choosing the easier road would eventually bring peace. But peace never arrived. Instead, every quiet moment started exposing what distractions could temporarily hide. They never truly resolved what they felt for you. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. The third party believed your absence meant victory, but your absence actually removed all the noise. Without constant pressure, your person finally had space to remember the connection clearly. And what they remembered surprised them. They remembered that you never needed to force yourself into their life. Your presence had weight naturally. Your words stayed with them. Your energy felt familiar. Even after distance appeared, certain memories refused to become ordinary. Stay till the end, because your person has now realized something they were afraid to admit before. Some connections become weaker with distance, but this one became clearer. That realization is exactly why the third party feels control slipping away. They can influence a conversation, create temporary confusion, or encourage another direction, but they cannot decide what your person remembers when nobody else is around. And lately, those private thoughts have been leading your person toward the same conclusion again and again. They made a choice before they fully understood what they were walking away from, then came the moment that changed their thinking completely. Your person imagined seeing you happy without them, not waiting, not wondering, not looking backward, but genuinely building a beautiful life that no longer required their return. Something inside them shifted. For the first time, they understood that you were never guaranteed to remain emotionally available forever. Don't skip. That realization made every delay suddenly feel important. They began asking themselves questions they had avoided for far too long. What if I waited too much? What if they finally understood their worth? What if someone else gives them the certainty I was too hesitant to give? But beneath all those questions was one much deeper realization: your person does not simply miss your attention. They miss the version of themselves that appeared around you. They remember feeling understood in ways they rarely explained aloud. They remember how one conversation with you could stay in their mind long after it ended. And now the third party is noticing that comparison happening silently. Something huge is waiting for you, because your person is no longer trying to convince themselves that every connection is interchangeable. They are recognizing differences they once ignored. What once looked like the safer choice is beginning to feel emotionally empty, while the connection they tried to leave behind keeps becoming more meaningful in hindsight. That is why their behavior is changing. That is why their silence feels different. They are not simply confused anymore. They are preparing themselves to choose, and this is where the third party's biggest assumption begins falling apart. They believed your person would always prioritize comfort over truth. They believed hesitation would keep them exactly where they were. But your person has started understanding that avoiding a decision does not protect anyone forever. Eventually, the heart demands an answer. Stay till the end, because the shocking choice is closer than it has ever been. Your person has privately decided that they cannot continue pretending everything is fine while wondering about you every time the world becomes quiet. They want clarity, even if clarity changes everything. They want to know whether the door between you is completely closed or whether one honest conversation could finally reveal what both of you never had the chance to say. Don't skip, because there is another twist. Before your person reaches toward you, they are considering doing something that could completely surprise the third party, speaking one truth aloud that they have deliberately kept hidden. Not a dramatic promise. Not an impulsive declaration. Something much more powerful, a simple admission that their feelings about you never disappeared in the way everyone assumed. And once those words are spoken, the entire balance changes, because the third party will finally understand what they feared from the beginning. You were never truly removed from your person's heart, you were only removed from the situation. And what your person is thinking about doing next could bring those two things back together. Now the silence is becoming impossible for your person to maintain, because the decision growing inside them has reached a point where pretending feels harder than telling the truth. Something has changed in the way they look at everything around them. The third party can sense it, but they cannot identify exactly what caused it. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Your person has started realizing that the choice ahead is not about pleasing someone else, protecting appearances, or continuing something simply because it already exists. It is about finally being truthful with themselves. And once they ask themselves who still appears in their thoughts when nobody is influencing them, the answer came back with uncomfortable clarity: you. They remembered conversations they thought they had forgotten, they remembered little details about you that should have disappeared with time, yet somehow remained. And then came the realization that shook everything they had been telling themselves: if you truly meant nothing anymore, why did the possibility of permanently losing you feel so significant? Stay till the end, because that question has become the turning point. The third party expected time to weaken this connection, but time has forced your person to examine it more deeply. What they once called confusion is beginning to look like fear. What they once called moving forward is beginning to look like avoidance. And what they once called the past is suddenly starting to look like an unfinished chapter, but there is something even more surprising happening beneath the surface. Your person is no longer thinking only about what went wrong between you. They are thinking about what could happen if both of you finally spoke without outside voices shaping the conversation. Don't skip. They have imagined sitting across from you and saying the things they never had enough courage to say before. They have imagined admitting where they misunderstood you, where they allowed assumptions to become facts, and where they remained silent when honesty could have changed everything. Something huge is waiting for you, because during those imaginary conversations, one realization keeps returning: they do not want another person deciding how this story ends. That is precisely what the third party never expected. Your person is reclaiming their own judgment. They are beginning to separate what they genuinely experienced with you from what other people told them to believe about that experience. And every time they do, another piece falls into place. They remember your patience differently. They understand your distance differently. They even understand their own hesitation differently. Stay till the end, because your person has reached the point where one question matters more than all the others. What if the connection I was trying hardest to forget was actually the connection I should have understood? That question has opened a door inside them that may not close again, and now comes the choice that could change everything. Your person is considering stepping away from the old pattern completely, not rushing blindly toward an outcome, but refusing to keep living according to fear and outside expectations. The third party can feel that independence growing, and that is why their influence suddenly seems weaker. Don't skip, because your person has realized something once-in-a-lifetime connections often teach people too late. Sometimes the greatest regret is not hearing no, it is never having the courage to ask what might have been possible. Your person does not want that question following them forever. They want the truth about you. They want the truth about themselves. And most importantly, they want whatever happens next to be their own choice. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is one final detail the third party still does not know. Your person has already imagined the first words they would say if they finally reached out to you. They have replayed those words more than once, changing them, simplifying them, trying to find a way to express everything without hiding again. But the most shocking part is not what they want to say. It is why they suddenly feel they cannot wait much longer to say it. Something recently made your person believe that your life may be changing, and if their instinct is right, the opportunity they assumed would always remain available may be disappearing faster than they ever expected. The moment your person realized you might not wait forever, everything inside them changed. Until now, they had treated time like something unlimited. Tomorrow could hold the conversation. Next week could bring clarity. Someday they could explain why they stayed silent. But suddenly, someday no longer feels safe. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Your person has begun imagining a future where they finally gather the courage to return, only to discover that you have already emotionally closed that chapter. And surprisingly, that possibility revealed more than months of thinking ever could. They realized they were not comfortable losing you permanently. They realized their silence was never proof that they stopped caring, it was proof that they did not know how to face everything they felt. Now the third party is noticing a completely different version of your person emerging, someone less willing to be influenced, less willing to explain every thought, and far more determined to discover the truth independently. The third party thought your person's hesitation would protect the situation forever, but hesitation is transforming into urgency. Stay till the end, because your person is approaching the shocking choice this entire story has been building toward. They are asking themselves whether maintaining something familiar is worth permanently losing something that still feels unforgettable. And every time they ask that question, your name becomes harder to ignore. Then another realization arrived, and this one changed the meaning of your entire separation. Your person started recognizing that the connection was never given a completely fair chance. Too many assumptions remained unanswered. Too many emotions remained unspoken. Too many decisions were made while outside voices were louder than the two people actually involved. Don't skip. Your person is finally wondering what would have happened if they had spoken directly to you instead of trying to understand you through distance, silence, and other people's interpretations. That question has become impossible to dismiss because the answer could rewrite everything. Maybe you were not asking for perfection. Maybe you were simply waiting for honesty. Maybe your distance was never meant as rejection but as a boundary, a quiet decision not to chase someone who could not clearly choose you. Something huge is waiting for you, because your person now understands why that matters. They are beginning to see your silence as strength rather than absence. They are beginning to realize that while they were waiting for certainty to magically appear, you may have been learning how to continue without them. And strangely, that thought has made their own feelings clearer. They do not want to reach toward you because someone pressured them. They want to reach toward you because they finally need an answer to the question they have carried privately for far too long: was this connection really finished, or did both of you simply stop speaking before the truth had a chance to surface? Now the third party is facing something they never prepared for. Your person is becoming willing to accept whatever truth they discover, as long as the choice finally belongs to them. Stay till the end, because this is where their transformation becomes powerful. They are no longer asking how to keep everyone comfortable. They are asking what decision will allow them to look back without wondering whether fear controlled their future. Don't skip, because your person has quietly crossed an emotional line. Before, they were thinking about contacting you. Now they are thinking about what happens after they do. They have imagined your surprise. They have imagined you being cautious. They have even imagined discovering that your feelings have changed. Yet something inside them still says that knowing the truth would be better than carrying uncertainty forever. And that is exactly why the third party is losing control. Influence works best when someone doubts their own heart, but your person is beginning to trust their own understanding again. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next decision is no longer theoretical. Your person is considering one specific move that could make their intentions impossible to misunderstand. And there is one sentence they have been holding back, a sentence that explains why they could never completely release this connection. Once those words finally come forward, the question will no longer be whether your person still thinks about you. The question will be whether both of you are ready to discover what happens when the truth finally gets the opportunity that silence never gave it. Everything has reached the point your person secretly knew was coming, because there are some feelings you can question for a while, but you cannot keep questioning them forever. Something inside them has settled into clarity. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Your person has finally understood that their biggest struggle was never forgetting you, it was trying to convince themselves that forgetting you was what they wanted. And now that illusion is breaking. The third party can sense the difference because your person is no longer reacting the same way. They are calmer, quieter, but strangely more certain. They have stopped needing approval for every decision. They have stopped allowing other people to define what this connection meant. And most importantly, they have stopped pretending that your absence solved everything. It did not. Your absence actually exposed what remained when all the noise disappeared. Your person discovered that memories of you were not returning because they were trapped in yesterday. They were returning because something important had never been honestly resolved. Stay till the end, because this is where the shocking choice becomes real. Your person is no longer asking whether they should keep ignoring what they feel. They are asking how much longer they are willing to live without knowing what could happen if they finally tell you the truth. And the truth they want to reveal is much deeper than, "I missed you." Don't skip. They want you to understand that there were moments when they almost reached out but stopped themselves. Moments when they wondered whether you still remembered them the same way. Moments when they wanted to ask someone about you but decided against it because they did not want anyone knowing how much curiosity remained. Something huge is waiting for you, because your person has now recognized the pattern. Every road they used to emotionally escape this connection somehow led their thoughts back to the same unanswered question. What if you were never supposed to be forgotten? What if this entire distance existed to show them what they could not appreciate clearly when you were close? They are not treating